Alright, finally, here we are. One final tier to complete. If I wanted to, I could spend 45 gold, but that's silly. So, the last tier is gonna be at Melbourne. We got head-to-head, speed snap, and Formula E race that requires PR 48. So, I'll start from left, work our way to the right. So, starting out with head-to-head. Just a single lapper against who's gonna be my opponent. Gale Loken. Alright. One of the slower bots. So yeah. This series did not require service either. As long as you have the enough upgrades to complete the event, right? So 3 upgrades across the board, all 6 categories. You should be able to complete the series in, well, if you have what it takes, you can do it in one swoop. Complete all 15 tiers, right? Since you don't need to service the car. Alright, so overtake early on, and then we can stay in the front, kind of take our time. And in the cockpit view, of course, we can see the different gauges and whatnot on the steering. I have no idea what they stand for. Obviously there's a lap time, and I'd assume the green bar is the RPM, but you know, I mean, it's electric motor, so there should not be any transmission, I'd assume, but I don't really know. And then there's a battery meter that is, I don't think that actually is actual how much battery is left, or maybe it is, but it's just not reflecting what's going on in the game when we race Formula E races, as we'll find out in the last Formula E race to win the car here. Yeah, they I should look these up and see what these different gauges really mean. But anyway, moving on. Alright, so there's the first of the last 3 trophies we need. So let's move on to Speed Snap. And this, let's see, at Melbourne, it happens in that last bit of straight next to what looks like a kind of a modern art museum building. I know, it's in the city. Not familiar with the Melbourne at all. But anyway, the target to beat is 126.9 kph. So it's that right basically before you head into that final chicane at the end, right? So here we go. Yeah, this section. So this area really doesn't matter how fast you go. It's after you maneuver through the corner here, how you exit. So it should be pretty easy, and there we go. Keeping it nice and close still. So yeah, just a bit over 1 kilometers per hour quicker than the second place. Alright, and that is 2 down, 1 more to go for the win. So let's check out the reward. It's now the completing series. The cost is down to 20 gold. Yeah, PR required 48 as was stated earlier on, or as stated on the Fire Monkey's website about this release. And was it a 5-lapper? I didn't see. Should pay attention to these things. Very colorful grid. I like that, since we have, what was it, 21 or 22 different official liveries, so that's pretty cool. 5-lapper, and we get 62 units of 62% of the battery to race here. So that gives us, what is it, 12% per, no. Let's see, I'm trying to do math online again. Alright, so 62 divided by 5. Wouldn't that be 12? Right? So, yeah, obviously the first lap you would use up a bit more battery than any other lap, because if you play your cards right. So, you know, because obviously first lap you're starting from standing still. So obviously you don't have that carryover, right? You don't get the inertia built up from finishing of the previous lap. So we need to, if we finish the first lap around with about 50% of the battery left, we should be in good shape. And then if we can get to the lead position, that would be even better. So just slightly under 50%. That's not bad. As I said, considering the first lap is the one that is always going to take more battery out than any other following laps. So now that we're in the lead, we can take our time. We don't have to drive as hard, since we can block off anybody who try to overtake. But yeah, we're keeping a good manageable lead without overdoing it, and because you certainly don't want to run out of battery, so you just have to kind of make sure you manage your battery properly, so you don't want to drive too slow, but at the same time you don't want to overdrive either, because I have a feeling you can run the battery out. Down to 36%, and we're in lap 3. So let's see, about halfway through this lap, if we have 31% left, that would be smack in the middle of the race. So I think that was the first checkpoint. So we should be getting pretty close to the halfway point, because there are 2 checkpoints. So the track is divided into a third. So I think we already passed the halfway point of the 5 laps. So yep, that was the second checkpoint. So that's a 2/3 spot in the track. And now we're around 30% battery left. And as you can see, we have a pretty healthy lead. So obviously I don't have to keep it as close, since there really is no more bot training necessary. This is gonna be the last one. So final 2 laps, and we got a pretty decent amount of battery left, so we can, I think, be a little bit more, drive a little bit harder now. Don't have to be as conservative with the battery. So if we have, you know, anything above 12% battery left heading into the last lap, we should be in good shape, especially with the amount of lead that we have built up here. We're gonna be in, yeah, 16% battery, so that is that's not a bad place to be, especially considering that lap 4, you know, I drove relatively hard. So let's see if we can do kind of the same and just keep my eye out on the battery life here. We're down to 10%. And then the final checkpoint here coming up. Right there, and then we got still under 5%. The battery marker does turn red to kind of warn us that we need to start conserving, but we're beginning to now lap a couple of opponents possibly, or just one, but anyway, able to finish with just enough battery left. Obviously, if your car is better upgraded, or if you're running in green, you should have a lot more battery left at the end. But anyway, still managed to complete with some good 30 seconds ahead of the second place. So we'll put the car in for service. And one more time, the final upgrade scheme. Easy to remember, 3 across the board for this car. Alright, the last trophy. 400% completion, 30 gold reward plus 40,000 racing dollars. So yeah, 40,000 really isn't much, is it? But anyway, here's the big prize. The Season 4 SRT 01E, the Formula E. Alright. Yeah, these cars always, I feel like they look like they should be faster and they should have a better downforce grip, but they don't. Oh well. But it is delivered now. And does it? Yes, it unlocks the Season 4 2017-18 season of the Formula E series in motorsports. So, and this is the only car in that series, so it's one car series. But yeah, so while the car is in service, let's see, check out the completion screen here. Final tier all done, series complete. All right.